Some of you are probably going to hate this. I kind of hate this. I think they're probably going to be okay. The 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs, a thing that has not been true about this football team with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. The 0-2 Kansas City Chiefs are not great right now. They're not even very good right now. I think they're going to be okay. Probably. Terms and conditions apply. Unconditionally, we're here for you for the next hour on Everything Else with Joshua Brisco. I'm Joshua Brisco alongside Tucker D. Franklin here live on the KCSN YouTube channel or listenable wherever you get your podcasts. You can just search for Everything Else on, or Everything Else with Joshua Brisco on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. But hanging out live, watching the show is, I think, the way to do it if you can. Not everybody's got the flexibility to be here at noon on a Monday and Friday, but I appreciate those of you who are, like Scott in the chat that said that possum artwork really is awesome. Shout out Renee. I couldn't agree more, Scott. Thank you very much. Shout out Renee. I can probably think of a few Kansas City Chiefs that deserve a shout out today, but it's not a lot of them. And I want to tell you that we're going to play some pinball today, I fear. For myself. I am not even of two minds. I am of one conflicted mind with these Kansas City Chiefs. And I want to be able to prove to you that my optimism is coming from a place of logic and not just emotion. That I'm optimistic for specific reasons, and that I think there are things that will change, not exclusively betting on the logo on the side of the helmet. But I understand if you feel bad. I feel pretty bad. I am 0-5 in Chiefs Radio Network postgame shows, by the way. You want to include the preseason? Yeah. The talk has begun. There have been some conversations at the radio station about if I am, in fact, the problem. And honestly, if they lose to the Giants, maybe I am. I will reevaluate some career moves if the Chiefs lose to the Giants. And a lot of the things that I'm going to say today are also hinging on them handling business against New York. But here's the first question for you. If you're watching live on YouTube, if you're listening later on, you can reach out on socials. You can just answer it silently to yourself. Do you feel better today than you did on Saturday last week? Do you feel better today than you did after Chiefs-Chargers? I think I do. Now, we talked on this show on Friday about the idea of, well, what if the Chiefs do beat the Eagles? Which they, spoiler, did not do. They were really close in a game that didn't feel like it should have been that close, which I also am going to try to explain into a space that we can wrap our heads around. I don't think that the team we've seen these last 2 weeks, as constructed, is going to win anything of particular note. So if I was just here talking about an 0-2 football team that is going to be the exact same team for the next 15 games, I wouldn't tell you that I think they're probably going to be okay. I might be able to tell you that they might be okay. If I was going to build that argument, I would tell you, among other things, this is close game regression for the Chiefs. It's not all luck. It's not all fluky. People always give the Chiefs credit for being clutch when they win an unthinkable number of one-possession games in a row. And then when you lose those games, you're, bad luck. It's always a little bit of both of those things. But the Chiefs have been unbelievable in one-score games. Now this season comes along, and you start out 0-2. The Chiefs haven't been blown out or holistically embarrassed by either of these teams, and these aren't moral victories, okay? I'm just kind of setting up here. I don't want you to change their record in your mind. They're 0-2, and they deserve to be 0-2. They lost to two teams that had better days than they did, and two teams that, well, the Chargers-Raiders tonight is going to be fascinating for a variety of reasons, but the Chiefs lost two games that they largely deserve to lose. The silver lining in this, as I tell you that the team we've seen the last 2 weeks isn't winning anything in particular come January or certainly February, The good news is that this won't be the team that's going to be here in 4 more games, or whenever Xavier Worthy comes back, which might be Sunday night in New York. New Jersey, I guess. I'm going to say in New York a lot today. If I was desperately wish casting for what I wanted to see added to the Chiefs in a vacuum right now from what we've seen from them for 2 weeks, I'd say, man, it would require a lot, and I'd like to see a lot, but if they could add like a top 20 NFL wide receiver and then maybe a top 40 NFL wide receiver to this offense, I think things would look a whole lot better. Now, usually you can't do that. Usually the best you can get away with is trading for DeAndre Hopkins partway through the season. You hope he's still a top 40 receiver, and back in Baltimore, he looks like it again, which is cool and fun and awesome, and I have no feelings about how that went here last year. Just kidding. It makes me so sad. The Chiefs had DeAndre Hopkins, and he had a couple of his worst drops of his incredible career. Deeply sad. But the Chiefs are going to literally here add Rashee Rice in week 7, a top 20 receiver. I haven't ranked all these guys. These are kind of categories. And at some point soon, you get Xavier Worthy back. Now, you have to ask the question of what will Xavier Worthy look like coming back from the shoulder injury? How effective will he be? What if he gets re-injured? How is he going to deal with contact? That stuff I can't tell you the answer to right now. I'm telling you that Xavier Worthy will be back, and it seems like sooner rather than later. So the reason I feel better today is that the offense, which this makes me feel worse, to be clear, the offense had the same issues they had in week 1, even with the benefit of time to prepare for not having Worthy. In week 1, they knew they weren't going to have Rice. They were surprised to lose Worthy. Well, last night, they knew they weren't having Worthy. So they have an entire other game plan built around not having either number 1 or number 2 or number 5 receivers because Jalen Royals is still out. They're 2 coin flip plays away from winning this game against the Eagles and the vibes being entirely different. The biggest success story in this game to me is that the Chiefs' defense was perfectly good. Plenty good enough to win this game. And maybe better than that. I might be kind of couching it there because it felt like there were still plenty of times where Saquon had just enough of a successful run to move the chains, where the Eagles would end up in tush-push scenarios, and we all knew what was going to happen. There'd be an uncalled false start, and they'd get the first down. We all knew it was going to happen every time. Keep an eye on how that goes this week. I've already been pretty interested in the way that discourse is going. Nice for there to be refereeing discourse after a game of the week Chiefs game that isn't about the Chiefs benefiting from it. It's almost like the NFL and referees in general have the same problems regardless of whose games they're calling, but I digress. The Eagles won, so now they get the spotlight. Both of this, they won the Super Bowl. They had the spotlight of the tush push throughout this whole time. Now the tush push is getting the just simply the rule following details that it should have had the whole time. Regardless, I saw some chat comments before the show even got started about that. You're not wrong. I have tweeted about it a couple of times and also noted that there are 5 more important reasons the Chiefs lost this game and reasons that the Chiefs had control over. Also, enforce the rules. Tired of the tush push? Tell the refs to enforce the rules. We're getting more taunting calls than we're getting illegal formations, false starts, adjustments by the offensive line on the most famous individual play in the sport the last few years, which is not good for the sport. Whatever. I don't really want to talk about the tush push a whole bunch, but I will just acknowledge, call them when they're lined up in the neutral zone, call them when they jump, and the tush push goes away. You don't have to ban it. You just have to call it like a regular play. The NFL hasn't done that yet. Maybe they'll start a little too late for the Chiefs to benefit from it. I digress again. I want to give the defense plenty of credit for holding Jalen Hurts to 100 yards passing. He didn't kill them with his legs. Scrambling, designed runs. Saquon Barkley and Kareem Hunt had almost identical yards per carry. I think Saquon got to a flat 4 yards per carry, and Kareem Hunt was 3.9, 3.875, I think. Now, the usage was different. We'll talk about the Chiefs offense. The point here is that it was not a perfect day for the Chiefs defense. And frustratingly, at this point, perhaps their best player defensively, Trent McDuffie, certainly one of their 2 best players defensively. Trent McDuffie has to try to swat away a pop fly to Devontae Smith that Jalen Hurts got the throw off in time. and Hurts played it well, Smith played it well, McDuffie didn't. You move the chains on 3rd and 10 and get down into the red zone, and at that point, touchdown. Sucks. No defense should have to live a life where they're not allowed to have any bad plays. And again, the Chiefs defense had a couple. But the thing I was most concerned about after the loss in Brazil was how hopeless the defense looked in coverage and in the pass rush. What we saw yesterday, I believe, first watch, you get a much more aggressive Steve Spagnuolo. You get more blitzes. You bring more baked heat, if you will. Spags' recipe creates a much better defensive effort, and the secondary seemed to communicate much better. Not nearly as many busted coverages. Again, that Devontae Smith, Trent McDuffie play was just a one-on-one jump ball, and that's the thing that Trent McDuffie doesn't do as well as he does everything else. No pun intended. So it wasn't perfect, but my goodness, look at the box score. Look at 20 points and tell me you wouldn't have taken that in a heartbeat on Friday. I could do without the victory formation trash talk, or I guess in this case, like surrender formation, if you're on that side of the line. If you didn't see, Chris Jones was like yapping at Jalen Hurts about not getting to 100 yards passing, and Jalen Hurts respectfully and correctly said, well, we won, so stop. The phrasing may have been slightly different. The language may have been slightly more colorful, but Jalen Hurts is right. You can talk trash in the victory formation. I don't think you can talk trash facing the victory formation. Yeah. I think that's an okay rule. That seems safe to me. But the offense still stunk. And the pass rush, still bad. Hard watch. George Karlaftis, I just simply did not get his name called. Mike Dana gets hurt. Ashton Gelati, Omar Norman-Lott seemed fine. Omar got a sack, kind of a coverage sack. Huge hit on Jalen Hurts. Happy to see that. Less work for Jerry Tillery. They're going to keep rearranging those deck chairs, and we'll just kind of see if anybody can. Maybe Karlaftis has a late season explosion. Maybe his best football comes in the playoffs again. Karlaftis is the guy who's been kind of crowned as the heir apparent to Chris Jones in that defensive line. He got the money there. I think it's okay to rely on him to say, hey, you are the guy that needs to raise the level here. We'll see if he can. It in a vacuum against the Eagles would not be a high alert freakout for me because they were able to generate pressure. They were able to manufacture pressure against the Eagles against a very good offensive line. That stinks because they weren't able to do anything against a very banged up Chargers offensive line last week. So all the pass rush questions remain. That to me is unmoved. That is a real problem. I am not glossing over that. I just don't know the fix for it. The pass rush is a legitimate ongoing concern. But the secondary was much better. The communication seemed much better. And Spags was much better. That's all good. But believe it or not, it's the self-inflicted wounds again. I tagged Seth in a post across all the socials. I didn't even know which one I was searching for. I just Googled mnchiefsfan.substack.com, quote, self-inflicted, quote. And there are 10 of these suckers that Seth, over the years, I think the first one was 2021, maybe? Just years of Seth going, self-inflicted wounds, volume 9. And it's just something that, it happens throughout football. Every team has them. The Chiefs have a lot. We follow them closely enough. I don't know if they have more or less than most other good teams. But you can maybe get away with these self-inflicted wounds against the Giants next week. Maybe. You can't against the Eagles. They're still good. They didn't look great. They're still a good football team. Harrison Butker misses a field goal. Cost the Chiefs 3 points. Gives Philly a short field that turns into a touchdown drive. I don't think you can give all 10 of those points to Butker, but you can definitely give 3 of them to him. The fourth down stuff that I want to talk about more in a minute, that turns into an instant Philly field goal. You give it back in field goal range. I will say I was stunned that they were going for that. I don't hate it. The play call was bad. And specifically bad, not just don't give it to Kareem Hunt. I'll go back to Seth in a minute and we'll talk about the actual play call that got stuff there on fourth down, the T formation, 3 guys behind. We'll talk about it. The Kelsey drop is Josh Simmons is the reason that wasn't the maximum game-changing play of all time. Travis Kelce dropped a touchdown on the goal line that was almost an Eagles touchdown. That, again, Josh Simmons made the chug, and then Philly made the Chiefs pay anyway. You just can't survive having your veteran, clutch, trusted target not going to pass up into the air, unluckily getting picked off and taking the other direction in the red zone. I mean, you can't survive that kind of thing. I don't think that Travis Kelce has like I'm not saying he has like a focus problem. He's on the field. This has nothing to do with his offseason to me, which remember was great and different or whatever. You just can't have it. He knows that, obviously. And he was furious about, I think, getting pulled off the field earlier in the game. He still, by the way, had more snaps than any other Chiefs wide receiver or tight end or running back. He was on the field plenty. And week 1, he injures Xavier Worthy by his estimation. He said that was his responsibility, that he got the wrong depth there, and he hits Worthy, knocks him out. You have the stopped route that you can always kind of say, well, how are Mahomes and Kelce on the same page here? What are they seeing from the defense? You have that last week, and then last night, as bad of a play as a pass catcher can have. Just really brutal. Jesse Newell dug up the stat I was looking for, which is that Travis Kelce's drop-turned-interception was worth negative 7.1 points per RBSDM.com, moved the Chiefs' expected win probability from 53% to 24%. And if he catches it, I imagine the win percentage goes up from there. I think that was at the point of the ball being snapped, I believe. Just as bad as it gets, as ugly as it can be. They barely lost this game against the team that curb stomped them in February. Different versions of these teams, but that is the frustration meeting a bit of optimism for me. But man, it's still frustrating. I'm still willing to count up. Let's do the record thing. I'm willing to count up to the 4-game cutoff and say when Rashee Rice comes back, that's when the offense begins to be tested in a real way in terms of where they go from here, what the playoffs look like, how far this team can actually go. I don't think this is particularly optimistic. I think this is borderline negative, certainly on the table. Chiefs beat the Giants, lose to the Ravens, beat the Jags, lose to the Lions. That makes them 2-4 when Rashee Rice gets back, if they lose to Baltimore and Washington. Beat the Raiders, Ravens and Lions, I apologize. Then beat the Raiders, lose to Washington and Buffalo. You're 3-6 at the bye. That feels crazy. The idea that the Chiefs could be 3-6 at the bye seems insane to me. And then you hit the bye and you go Denver, Indy, Dallas, Houston, LA, Tennessee, Denver, Vegas. You rip off those games, you're 11-6. The way the AFC West is setting up right now, I think that might win you the AFC West after being 3-6. Now, does this look like a team who's about to rip off 8 straight wins? No, absolutely not. But this isn't the team it's going to be after the bye. This isn't the team that it's going to be when Rashee Rice comes back. I remain long-term optimistic and short-term pessimistic. I think is about where I settle in. Which begs the next question. What about the next 4 games? This is also going to lead us into more of what went wrong last night. If they're 0-6 when Rashee Rice comes back, I'll give up the record thing. We'll stop doing that. But I think it's going to look completely different with Rice and Worthy. That's the offense that Andy Reid was drawing up this offseason. Now, he knew he wasn't going to have Rice for a chunk of it, and I think it's a terrible sign that you lose your top 2 weapons and nothing else can work for you when Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. If, it's funny because they're 2-0 now. If the Colts lose Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman, and then suddenly the offense falls off, you go, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Daniel Jones right now is managing a pretty talented roster, which again, still, this is totally unfair because they're 2-0. But yeah, I could, J.J. McCarthy, let's use him. Jordan Addison's not out there. If the Vikings lose Justin Jefferson for any period of time, I think you would see that offense go apoplectic. So it is still, even with the countdown for Rice and Worthy to return, keeping me long-term optimistic. You still have to survive in the meantime. And it is a sinking feeling to realize that the Chiefs don't really have an offense in the meantime. They're playing offense, but it's not an offense. It's closer to dental work at this point. It's pulling teeth. Nothing is easy. It's Patrick Mahomes putting on a cape, and then you hope somebody else can make a play here or there. And through 2 weeks, they haven't. There have been a couple of moments here or there. You go, all right, well, Tyquan Thornton's living open. Mahomes missed him once, got him later. And this isn't saying that Mahomes has been perfect. It wasn't a perfect game for him by any means. But have you seen a 3-play stretch of offense this year that you thought has looked easy or even consistent, stable, repeatable? That's where the problem is for me right now. I think Rashee Rice coming back is going to put them back into the groove they were planning on being in. I think Xavier Worthy coming back should help there, but I'm more concerned because I don't know what a wide receiver does with his shoulder injury in his frame and all of that. He'll still be fast. I don't know how that changes what they can ask him to do. But the running game is dead. Underground. 6 feet. They do not need a doctor unless they can get Dr. Frankenstein. Maybe that would help. I guess you try to get Brashard Smith in the mix a little more. Elijah Mitchell's on the 53, but has been a healthy scratch. You've got Carson Steele and Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the practice squad. Are they there for a reason? I don't think any of those guys are saving the running game. And I don't think Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt are individual villains in why it's not working. It's just not working. Mitchell Schwartz, the former Chiefs right tackle, tweeted a lot last night. I thought he had some really interesting stuff. But if you feel like the offense is just holistically kind of broken right now, or just has no easy pitches, has no consistent winners, listen to this, relatively lengthy, so stick with me. Listen to this breakdown from Mitchell Schwartz. It's everything. Doesn't help when wide receivers 1, 2, and 4 are out, being Royals with the fourth one there. No offense is going to be spectacular when that's the case. The run game is not good enough and or not tried enough. Not enough separation in the pass game, but all those dudes are out. Guys aren't playing up to their standards at every position. Doesn't seem like the blocking is quite good enough to down in both run and pass. As good and physical as those guys are, they don't take over games the way the Eagles or Lions or other O-lines do when they're rolling. I add parenthetically, I think that is a great observation, and it summarizes something to me that's been kind of baffling, or at least kind of frustrating, hard to point down in these last few years of these really talented, highly drafted, highly paid offensive linemen that never result in a dominant unit. It's just not something that happens. I really think it's a good point from an offensive lineman and one of the best to ever put on a Chiefs uniform. To say this offensive line never starts dominating. I don't know why that is. I think it's interesting that Mitchell Schwartz was able to call it out. Back to his breakdown here. Schematically, RPOs and shotgun running without the threat of a QB run and the threat of the running back to hit a home run render the run game way less effective. Under center play action combined with the run game is the efficient way to play football these days, and this team just barely does it. And when it does it, it's not as effective because there's less cohesion. They feel like one-offs and not an identity. At this exact moment, the entire thing feels stale to me. However, it's not fair to fully judge with all those wide receivers out, but I'd still like to see things be different. I think that's good, fair stuff for Mitchell Schwartz. Here's the other. Let's go to the fourth down stuff. Seth has already written a breakdown of a few things that went wrong over in his Chief in the North newsletter. And here's how Seth broke down that 4th and 1 stuff where they've got the T formation, 3 guys in the backfield, go for it, 4th and short, get stuffed well behind the line of scrimmage. Here's what happened via Seth Kaiser. On a 4th and less than a yard, when you know the defensive line's going to be firing up the field, having Creed Humphrey pull is begging for a defender to shoot into the backfield, especially when you're asking Juwan Taylor, who is not a powerhouse, to seal off the other side and drive his defender away. Finally, asking Hunt to travel that far horizontally before getting vertical is just, well, let's sum this up. You're asking your worst run blocker to make a crucial block of a type that he doesn't thrive at, driving a defender with momentum inside while running in the direction of one of the best trap defending DEs in the league, which means you're never getting that edge and you'll have to cut inside, which makes Taylor's block wildly important, while asking your zero explosion running back to cover extra ground because he's starting off horizontal on the play. Sometimes we see a coach make a choice, a game management choice, and it doesn't work and you blame the play call. In real time, I was surprised that deep in their own territory, they didn't let Mahomes make the call. I'm just, hey, here's something where you put Mahomes on the move. It's a play action where he can either throw one of those short outs that feels like it's always there, or he can just do it with his legs. But by the time the ball was going into Kareem Hunt's hands, the play was all but over. Seth talked about this more, but it feels alarmingly out of touch with the personnel who had to specifically execute that play. If it's going the other direction, maybe it makes more sense, but it's kind of a baffling call. So I'm not really here to downplay how rough these 2 games have been, other than acknowledging the close game regression of it all, where just close games can go either way and it all comes down to 1 or 2 plays. And over the years, the Chiefs have made those plays. This year, they have not made those plays yet. Also, I might just give Tyquan Thornton my CFB playbook. Just a lot of all goes, a lot of vertical play. Try that more, I guess. In the first half, Patrick Mahomes was 6 for 11 for 51 yards. In the second half, he was 10 for 18 for 136, a touchdown and a pick that should have been a second touchdown. Mahomes is leading this team in rushing for 2 consecutive games. Everything feels like pulling teeth. I'm not entirely sure how you fix that without an influx of talent, but I am not the 1st, 2nd, or 50th person to say this. We haven't seen anything new yet. We haven't seen a twist on an old classic. We haven't seen a real evolution. And right now, I'm not sure that we're going to. I think what we are seeing is a grin and bear it, grit your teeth, survive until Rashee Rice comes back, or maybe optimistically until Xavier Worthy comes back, and then take it from there. And I think that might work. I think that might win the AFC West. And if that is how it's rolling in the playoffs, the Chiefs could be a road favorite against whatever team is shaking in their boots, having to host the Chiefs if it's in the wild card round, if it's the Chiefs getting a home game in the wild card round, if it's on the road for the AFC Championship game. I still think the best case scenario for this Chiefs offense is a team that could absolutely be back in the Super Bowl. This version of the offense, pulling teeth. I am, as I say, short-term worried, long-term optimistic. I have my long-term offensive concerns too. But I think that even in a relatively uncreative, or at least unsurprising schematic start to the season for the offense, I think Rashee Rice comes back and fixes a lot of those problems. Let's take our first timeout here. We'll come back. I'm going to bring Tucker D. Franklin in, who can tell me what's going on and how the Chiefs are going to fix it. Plus, man, 2nd week in a row, we got a Sad Fans. That's exciting. Unfortunately, it's Sad Fans Chiefs edition. Plus, the NFL had all sorts of crazy things happening yesterday. The AFC is sort of on fire, which works out well considering the start the Chiefs have had. We'll break all that down on the other side of this timeout.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
I was going to give Tucker a new title, but as I was working on it, the break ended. So, Tucker, I'll make you right now. I'm going to say you are the coordinator of fixing the Kansas City Chiefs offense. You got anything for me before we get to the Broncos and Bengals?
I think first, I have to ask Andy Reid what he would do, and then I think because if I'm a coordinator of the Chiefs offense, that's I think how the order of operations works. So. I think I just have to ask Andy Reid what I should do. That's all
I think that's a perfectly fine spot to leave it for the time being. Let's look around for something else that makes us slightly less sad. Of all the ways this ended, I am less surprised the Chiefs are 0-2 than I am that the Colts are 2-0. That might be a bold statement. I didn't think the Chiefs were going to start 0-2. Like, well, I could have a weird game in Brazil against the Chargers and lose to the Eagles. I didn't have the Colts making me question if the Denver Broncos defense is actually legit because they got toasted by Danny Dimes.
Here's the thing about the Colts, and we've known this about the Colts going into it, is that they had a talented roster. We knew that the roster of the Colts was like a pretty decently talented roster. The biggest question mark was the quarterback position. And look, I think that Daniel Jones is perfect for what the Colts need, right? Is perfect for all right. He's the point guard, right? He is a John Stockton. There's a reason I use John Stockton there instead of Chris Paul, because there's no flash with Chris. Chris Paul is at least making flashy passes. Nah, John Stockton's giving your fundamental bounce passes. He is giving good sturdy chest passes. That is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is John Stockton. Where's Nate Taylor when you need to make a '90s basketball reference?
No kidding.
That would have hit good for him. But here's the thing. The Colts defense played really well, though, too. And the Colts defense didn't have their top two corners that game. Charvarius Ward was in the concussion protocol, and I can't even remember who was playing for them. And he was playing on, like, a hamstring injury, too. So it's like one of the things where they didn't have their top two corners. They were penalized 11 times in that game, the Indianapolis Colts were, and they still won that football game. It also ended in the funniest way possible for that game to end with the personal foul after – that field goal was so poorly missed by Spencer Schrader. Chiefs legend.
Thank you.
So poorly missed by Spencer Schrader. And then for them to have a personal foul, to then to go from 60 yards to 45 yards, because that's how math works, to then absolutely drilling it because, it's a 45-yard field goal in the NFL, middle of the field. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be drilled. I mean, Spencer Schrader hit he hit the walk-off against the Carolina Panthers, right?
Yes, correct. Absolutely awesome. Correct. He hit the walk-off against the Panthers and ended up on IR like a few days later. I think that might have been his last appearance. Yeah, I was genuinely I was talking to Nick at the time, Nick Springer, KCSN legend, and because we were trying to go through highlights and stuff, and I was like, I don't even know who the Colts kicker is. Like, who is it? I pulled it up. It's Spencer Schrader, Chiefs legend. So it's funny, and also so like a thing to just keep in mind here now. Yeah, this is Chiefs adjacent, and we'll talk about the Bengals and Burrow and whatnot. But After 2 weeks of football, there will be 4 2-0 teams in the AFC. Bills, the Bengals without Joe Burrow, Indiana Jones, and the Chargers or Raiders tonight. I guess they could tie, which would be awesome.
That'd be hilarious.
There are 3 2-0 teams in the NFC West right now. The AFC has 4 of them, assuming that the Chiefs, that the Chargers or Raiders win tonight and don't tie. If you're in a spot where you're having like a brutally slow start and you're afraid, I don't know what the AFC West odds are, and frankly, I might still give it a little bit of time before I hop in, just because I think it could still get. I think I might wait till right before Rashee Rice gets back. We'll see. But if you're gonna tell me like, okay, so the Chiefs obviously they lost the tiebreaker to the Chargers, so I guess root for the Raiders tonight. It's so early. I wouldn't worry about it.
Right. Yeah.
I will be rooting for the Raiders anyway, I think, because it gives me an excuse to root for Geno and Pete Carroll guilt-free for one of a few times this season. So I guess, string me up, I suppose, if I'm not allowed to say I'm rooting for the Raiders tonight. And we'll see when the game starts how I feel. Sometimes I say something like that, like, I'm rooting for the Cowboys tonight. And then the game starts. I'm like, God, I hate the Cowboys. So we'll see. But it right now, it's not lining up to be a steep climb back into an AFC West race. You just have to, handle your business against the Giants and then hope you don't, completely bottom out after that. But what do you have on the AFC West odds?
On the AFC West odds currently, as we sit right here, to win the division, the Chiefs are plus 280 in the money right now. So a $10 bet on that would win you, well, it's not really.
$280?
Yeah.
Or $10? $28? What did you say, 10 or 100?
38. It would win you 28. You'd get a payout of 38, right?
Yeah.
So it would win you $28. Do you want to know what they are to win the AFC as well?
Yeah, sure. It's going to be long.
Plus 700. Man. To go to the Super Bowl. You know they're to win the Super Bowl?
Are they plus 1,000?
Plus 1,400.
Good Lord, man. I wish I believed a little bit more right now. I believe a decent amount. Like, I think I believe everything I've said so far today, but I don't know that I believe that's going to send them to a Super Bowl. It's just like how I'm getting through the day right now.
Right.
I think I might just hedge my bets a little bit, pun intended, I suppose, and just go poke around that AFC West number, because that's kind of baffling to me. You've got the 1-1 Broncos, the perhaps 2-0 tiebreaker Chargers. So I guess the Chargers are in the driver's seat, but they will play again. These two teams will play each other again. It'll be in Kansas City next time.
It'll be at Arrowhead, yeah. No, that's
and
a great point.
Rashee Rice will be playing football, and hopefully Xavier Worthy will be too.
Well, look, if you're like Josh and I and live in Missouri, and you guys can't obviously put money on this yet either. You got to get ready, Missouri, because the wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets when we launch on December 1st. Download now and place a $5 bet when we go live. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and it has fast money withdrawals as well. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that code KCSN to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. That's code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. Josh.
You're going to have 3 Chiefs games after the bye week before December 1st, and then December 1st, and then it's Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. You get 3 AFC West games, 5 AFC games the rest of the way. I'm just looking ahead. I'm just thinking about future opportunities.
Again, what are the odds at that point? If the Chiefs do struggle, the AFC West odds could be pretty tasty.
They could be they could be. I think I may not have the exact number of games right. I think they could be 5-6 when those when Missouri opens up there, and I think 11 Well, I meant when Missouri opens for DraftKings. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
When Missouri opens its heart to DraftKings, right? Did I say something wrong?
No, I think you're good.
Oh,
I
okay.
just wanted to add.
No, you were affirming me, but I thought you were correcting me because I have that problem.
I wanted to. So Matt Verderman and I talked about this on That Football Show. That show's out right now on YouTube. You can watch it. It just dropped on the audio side of things. So again, you can listen to that. Shameless cross promotion there.
Please do. I haven't listened yet because I was starting this show.
Can you? There's going to be 7 AFC teams that make the playoffs, right? And this is kind of the conversation we started to go down. 7 AFC teams will make the playoffs. That is confirmed. Is there 7 other teams that you would say outside of the Chiefs can make the playoffs? Because the Bills, yeah, the Ravens, yeah.
I'm gonna note real quick, just real quick news interjection is that Joe Burrow's out for 3 months. It sounds like it may be minimum. Turf toe, which somebody else already said this. Turf toe needs a new PR campaign because it sounds like the weeniest injury of all time, and it's also what Brock Purdy's out with, but Burrow's is a worse version of it. We got to stop calling it turf toe and start calling it foot explosion.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, I don't have the answer.
So he tore ligaments in his foot, and that's really what it is. And they're just like turf toe. It is a really tough answer. That's why, I mean, obviously that's why the lower third says Bengals cooked, because that also kind of ties into what I'm talking about here. They are 2-0.
Yes, so they're 2-0. They are not, and their defense is what it is. So anyway, to your game here, Bills playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
End of my AFC East list.
Yes.
North, Ravens playoffs. Bengals not at this point. They're 2-0, but I'm just right now I'm assuming they're not going to make it without the 2025 MVP.
Will be in Missouri by the time Joe Burrow is a quarterback again. Think about that.
That's right. And maybe by months. We'll just see. I saw one of the Pro Football Doctor injury accounts was 3 months is pretty optimistic. So I'm not including the Bengals in that mix right now.
Yeah.
You can talk to me about the Steelers if you want. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
In the wild card mix.
Yeah.
I'm putting the Colts in, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm putting the Texans up there right now, I guess.
2 from
one of them
South
wins it.
gross.
One of them gets a wild card. What? Say that again.
I think 2 teams from the South is gross, but 100%. It's very plausible. Yes.
It's almost mandatory. To your point, then you get the AFC West, and if you want to say the Chargers win the division and the Broncos are a wild card team, you still have a spot left.
Right.
That's 7. So it's either the Bengals, a second AFC West team that's not the Chiefs, or I'm including a second AFC South team, or you think the Patriots are getting there, which they could. The Patriots are kind of that same territory. But I think that's a great point, Tucker, that I am not even, truthfully, I'm not even in a point where I've been wondering about the playoffs. I am not afraid they're going to miss the playoffs. Right. I'm a little bit worried about them losing the AFC West streak. That's certainly on the table right now. But even then, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a very good question.
That was a fun exercise Matt and I went through, because it's I think the Colts, and look, we talked about the Colts a little bit. They started out with the Dolphins and the Broncos. Broncos obviously much more, let's say, highly touted team coming into this season than the Dolphins were. We kind of knew what the Dolphins were going into it. I don't think we knew how bad the Dolphins were going to be, but we knew the Dolphins weren't going to be good. They scored some points on the Broncos. I will say that game could have been a whole lot worse for the Broncos, because I think, I want to say off the top of my head, 8 red zone trips for the Colts, and they only had 2 touchdowns. So they settled for, 6 red zone trips, 2 touchdowns, 4 red zone field goals for the Colts. That makes more sense.
Crazy.
My math is right.
Crazy.
So that's obviously, if you want to spin zone it to positive to the Broncos, great red zone defense. But you're letting them get to the red zone. They move the ball between the 20s at will against the Broncos team, and Pat Surtain did leave the game with an injury, did come back in the game as well. So like that was kind of weird because it looked like it like wasn't good for Pat Surtain, and then like it actually was fine for Pat Surtain. So I'll be interested to see how that all develops. But yeah, Broncos, interesting, man. Like the Bo Nix experiment is I think
experimenting.
The fruits are starting to show themselves with Bo Nix of why he was in college for so long. They just spammed Troy Franklin in this game, which I thought was hilarious. It was like a Troy Franklin legacy game. They must have just really liked awesome. The matchup that he had. But yeah, man, like shout out to the Colts. I mean, you got to shout out the Colts for like they've put together a team. I know like the whole Jim Irsay stuff. They're playing for Jim. But like looking at the Colts schedule, they got the Titans next. They should beat them because the Titans are just a horrible football team. The Rams, that'll be an interesting test. But look, they don't have a hard schedule. Their schedule's not difficult. Could they sneak in the playoffs? Could they win that South? I think it's on the table for sure.
I think so too. I don't know if you saw this earlier, but there was a tweet. I guess this went out last night from Zach Hicks on Twitter. He covers the Colts.
Love that guy. Yeah.
And he tweeted, I think there are still some pretty clear limitations with Daniel Jones as QB for the Colts, but he has command over the offense and is very accurate in the short to intermediate. That's good enough in an offense with Pitt, Downs, Warren, Pierce, Taylor, and Steichen. That tweet has 74 replies. The top 2 here from paid verified accounts.
Right.
Genuinely curious. What limitations do you see? Next tweet. TBH, I don't see what you see. Of course you have his history, but in terms of what he can do, it's everything you'd need from a quarterback. Next tweet. Disagree, Zach. If anything, he's shown his deep ball's improved, hasn't turned it over, takes the defense, gives him over 70% completion. Next tweet. His huge limitation is his 2-0 record. Colts fans right now, 2 weeks into the season, are with a straight face asking, what limitations does Daniel Jones have? What do you mean, Daniel Jones's limitations? And that, I think, rules. I'm happy for Colts fans. I'm kind of rooting for the Colts to make this weird little run happen. If you're a Colts fan after 2 weeks of watching Daniel Jones with your team, well, let me say this, I guess. If you're talking yourself into a long-term investment in Daniel Jones because he has no limitations and is running your offense the way you want him to run it, I would suggest a quick phone call to the New York Giants. We've done this before. Like half the quarterbacks in the league have great 2-4 game stretches. They make you go, man, Jake Browning is going to have a couple of those games. You're going to go, man, are the Bengals going to be okay without Burrow? And then he's going to lose 2 games for them. And you're going to go, oh yeah, no, okay. Quarterback still matters. I could not believe what limitations does Daniel Jones have? Was a legitimate question being asked by Colts fans 2 weeks after he narrowly lost a competition to Anthony Richardson, a quarterback everyone in that organization appears to hate.
Yeah, actively trying to not develop him. They took a quarterback that needed development and they said, what if we just don't? Because
what if we just don't? What if we get an unlimited quarterback like Daniel Jones instead?
Yeah, the Colts are such a fascinating team because, as I mentioned, look, they've got a decent roster. They've got good defenders. They've got, as you mentioned, a good offense. Shane Steichen is one of those offensive minds that was poached a couple years ago from Philly, right? Was where he came from. And he's one of those guys that the offense is working with him, but man, one of my best friends is a Colts fan. He is a Colts fan. He was with me as we were watching kind of simultaneously the Chiefs game and the Colts game at the same time, and he turned to me mid game and said, "Do I like Daniel Jones?" And it's such an interesting place because he was like, man, I'm going to have to talk myself. I remember in the offseason, he's like, I'm going to have to talk myself into thinking Daniel Jones is a good quarterback. And he's like, I don't want to do that. I'd much rather talk myself into thinking Anthony Richardson is a good quarterback rather than Daniel Jones, because with the proof of concept we've seen with with Daniel Jones is not great, but he was like, oh no, I think I'm starting to like Daniel Jones. And look, I know that Chris Ballard gets a pretty long leash for the whole Andrew Luck just retiring out of nowhere deal. I mean, the leash has been long for that.
Long.
And I think that this was probably Custer's last stand. And when it comes to quarterbacks for him, I still don't think Daniel Jones is it. I mean, he's got a 1-year deal. They got to find a quarterback next year. Like, that's the thing. It's just so this isn't a long-term fix. This is a Band-Aid for something that is something that it's going to be frustrating. Also, what I also think helps Daniel Jones, and this is a deeper conversation probably about the Chiefs and the state of football in general, is he has Jonathan Taylor as a running back and a offensive line that can run the football and block for run schemes, and they actually have real run schemes and run concepts. And the Chiefs might be the only team that doesn't. Like, legitimately, you look at other games on Sunday, they might be the only team that doesn't. I know Nate Taylor was talking about that with us in the group chat, but like, Verderham and I talked about this on Sundays. Like, you look at every single good team in the National Football League right now. You look at all of the good quarterbacks. I mean, the Rams, like, they've got Kyron Williams. You look at the Bills, they got James Cook. Obviously, Derrick Henry at the Ravens. Like, every good Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco. Saquon Barkley with the Eagles. Like, you look at every single good team, their offense isn't as one-dimensional as it is with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a miracle they got to the Super Bowl last year, truthfully, with how one-dimensional they were. And it's gotten even worse this year.
Quick special teams question for you, and then we're gonna get to sad fans. The new kickoff rule's been great, right? You've all the dynamic returns, so much more action. That's been awesome, right? You've loved that?
Yeah. Oh,
I've loved it.
I do. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Good.
The president of the United States says it sucks. Says it's bad for America. All right, let's go ahead and get to Sad Fans Chiefs Edition, Week 2. Beers McFly back in the lab, back in the booth, cooking it up. And I really didn't think we were going to start with 2 in a row Chiefs ones. Again, I said this last week. When it's other team sad fans, it's fun and hilarious and a good time. And when it's the Chiefs sad fans, it's, cathartic, maybe. Misery loves company and all that. So, with that being said, Sad Fans is a creation of Beards McFly. You can follow him on socials at Beards McFly. It does not necessarily reflect the opinions of Beards McFly, Josh Brisco, Tucker D. Franklin, KC Sports Network, BJ Kissel, or my mom. And I'm going to add a new person who it doesn't reflect on every week. I think that's the new bit.
It's a good bit.
This does not necessarily reflect the opinions of anyone on earth, except for perhaps the often Reddit commenters who have fired them off in a moment of desperation. With that being said, I am hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. Here is Sad Fans Chiefs Eagles Edition.
And now, a list of things said by sad Chiefs fans. Again. Cowboys game? Nick Sirianni looks like he doesn't pick up his dog poop at the dog park. We look away for literally a minute and we're already punting? Holy that's horrible. Are we stupid? Nick Sirianni poops with the door open. This team used to be fun to watch. Sad. America's Game of the Week. Allegedly. I'll know more when I finally see it. Nick Sirianni doesn't return his shopping carts.
No.
I come to have a good time. I see a run on 3rd and 15. I feel worse. Mahomes with more attempts than yards. Hell of a start. Nick Sirianni takes a dump right after he gets out of the shower. I wish I remembered what it was like to get chunk plays on offense. I'm seriously getting some PTSD from the Matt Castle days, except back in those days we at least had a run game. We're completely flat on offense. Nick Sirianni only eats the crust off his pizza. Why would young 2018 Mahomes always get a green light on 3rd and long, but with experienced veteran 2025 Mahomes, you call that run? And now the O-line is dying. How nice. Nick Sirianni says thank you to ChatGPT after every answer. 3 and out. Shocking development. I miss having receivers. We have the greatest QB of all time and have assembled around him whatever the opposite of a super team is. How many times will we be picked off because receivers can't catch a ball in their gut?
More than
Nick Sirianni only watches commercial breaks. What weighs more? Xavier Worthy or his neck piece? Going to launch myself out this window. Jesus Christ, what is this? Sad face emoji. Sorry, folks. Today, the Giants looked better than Kansas City on offense. And that's not a good thing. Ariza making a strong case for team MVP. This league used to fear us. We've determined no fumble, but we couldn't see anything either. Sirianni wishes someone would push his tush. Team is not fun anymore. Well, Mahomes can run the ball, but he can't catch it too. SMFH. They literally win this game if Kelsey doesn't turn into Tony. So for being 0-2, it could be a lot worse. Nick Sirianni doesn't tip his DoorDash driver. Over the last several months, I've lost a lot of things, and one of them has been my smile. Mahomes is the leading rusher for the second straight game.
Yeah.
That's not good. Nick Sirianni claps when the plane lands. Nobody beats the Chiefs like the Chiefs beat the Chiefs. Considering hiring the Etsy witch the Mariners used. At least the Broncos lost in heartbreaking fashion, so that's fun. Sirianni looks like he just told his crush all about his favorite bands, but she told him she wasn't really into them. Comment: I swear to God, if we don't drop a dookie stain on the Jets next week. Reply: we won't, but that's because we're playing the Giants. Right. Sirianni looks like he sneaks into the bathroom to smell all of the farts coming out of his ass. And now, the runner-up of things said by sad Chiefs fans. They're not going to ban the tush push unless the Eagles beat Josh Allen with it in the Super Bowl. And now, the winner of things said by sad Chiefs fans. Hooded t-shirt, check. One size too small, check. Nipples showing through, check. Visor, check. Most punchable face in the league, check. Sirianni is ready.
Do Chiefs fans not like Nick Sirianni?
Weird. He is. I talked about this on the postgame show. It's just like you probably didn't talk about this on your postgame show. I really do like the Eagles. Like, I think I like the Eagles of Jalen Hurts. I have no problem.
I was going to do it
Jalen
for us
Hurts.
today. Thanks for watching, everybody. No, we have more to do. Go ahead. Sorry. You can finish your thought.
I like Jalen Hurts. I think Saquon Barkley is a very good running back. A.J. Brown, incredible and talented wide receiver. I think they've got a really good defense. They got some great defensive linemen, right? Their defense is fun to watch. They fly around. I hate their head coach. I hate Nick Sirianni, and that in turn reflects on the whole team, right? I like the roster of players that they have put together. Like, I liked it when Jason Kelsey was there, too. Like, Lane Johnson, love Lane Johnson. I cannot stand Nick Sirianni. And that is ultimately what is so frustrating about losing to that team. Is not that you lose to the Eagles. Fine. Better team wins the Super Bowl, right? But it's the fact that Nick Sirianni has to go up there and hold that Lombardi trophy that really roused me up.
All right, you know what? Let's go into the next thing here, Tucker. We're going long again today, which I don't know. Maybe this is just going to be a theme. This show has an official start time. I don't think we have an official end time. I didn't hear what you said there, Tucker.
I said I don't care. It's the internet. Yeah.
It's, we can keep doing more show. We used to occasionally, in very rare instances, do 3 hours and then do like a 20-minute post-game show. Not post-Chiefs games, just post-show. I feel like I think we've done a pretty good job of going through the emotional process that Chiefs fans need today. I went logical as much as I could that first half hour, of here's what I saw, here's what I think we're gonna see, here what other smart people have said about what they saw. We're gonna deal with the demons. Then we took a step back and we heard the guttural release of Chiefs fans hating Nick Sirianni and being frustrated with their own football team, and we were able to sink into that for sad fans and move on to the next phase. Mm-hmm. Now I want to give not just Chiefs fans, really all football fans, all sports fans, but especially Chiefs fans, I want to give you the cool down tent that we all need right now. You, viewer, watcher, listener, voyeur, you should be watching The Great British Baking Show or Bake Off over in Britain, where it comes from. Here, it's called It's called the Great British Baking Show. I learned today that's because Bake Off in the US and Canada is copyrighted by Pillsbury, which I also learned, Tucker, today that this year, I don't know if it's new this year or it's been the last couple of years, this year's Pillsbury Bake Off competition thing is involving Donna Kelsey. I don't know if she's judging it or if I don't know. I found that enough to realize, it's unbelievable. And I was like, oh, this is full circle. This is great. Yeah. Watch Bake Off. It's gonna be good for you.
Yes.
Here, this is the world that I currently occupy. Okay, Monday night football, Thursday night football, Friday, especially if you've got investment in a high school football, you can have high school football on Friday. Saturday, college football. Sunday, NFL football.
Yeah.
We need my Tuesdays and Wednesdays are now reserved for something that will ideally bring my heart rate down instead of up.
Good.
There is no better candidate for that than Bake Off. It also, I'm telling you this now, not only because Chiefs fans need it early in the football season, it's also the beginning of a new season of Bake Off. I've only seen the first episode, and they're releasing them, I think it's a couple days later, but they're releasing them, I think for the first time, pretty much in step with how they're being released in the UK. Usually there's a big delay in all of that.
Yeah.
Well, now you can join in. I don't remember what season number they're on right now. If you haven't seen it at all, it will not feel in almost any way whatsoever like an American competition cooking show that you are used to, because it's not that. Totally different genre, totally different energy. The judges, Paul Hollywood and Prue Leith, they are effectively, I think Paul Hollywood has been kind of painted as like the British Guy Fieri in aesthetic and like view, but he couldn't be like, you have to consider like a bizarre, almost like a bizarro Guy Fieri, not because they're similar, but because they have this aura about
Bad
them
boy
in
of cooking.
Yeah, a little bit, right? A little bit of the bad boy vibe. Paul Hollywood, steely blue eyes, and if you give him a bad bread, he's not gonna like yell at you or anything. He's not Gordon Ramsay. He's just gonna be disappointed, and that's worse than anything.
Yes.
The hosts and the current host, longtime host Noel, tremendous. Tim and Allison again this year. She's been great. You might know Noel Fielding. I didn't realize this for years. He's old Greg in that crazy sketch that may or may not have just woken up long-lost memories repressed in the minds of several people in the comments right now. I'm old Greg. That's Noel, who's also the longtime host of Bake Off. The editors have been so deep in their bag the last few seasons. They are pulling such hilarious little vignettes from the contestants' personal lives. They are framing things hilariously in the actual competitions. It is competitive, and it is sad when somebody's cake falls over, but it is wholesome. It is pure. The vibes are good. Renee said this during the first episode we were watching of this season. It's like, it's nice to watch something that's produced from outside of America. It's like it's coming out of its own universe. Mm-hmm. It is untouched by many of the dramatizations that we see on a day-to-day basis. It is a beautiful experience. No better. If you want to go watch an old season, be my guest. But if you want to join in a little zeitgeist, this is your time, even in America, to watch it. It's on Netflix in the U.S. It's just a great use of your time. It's a great off-speed pitch for your Wednesday, your Tuesday, Wednesday, as you are sandwiching your life in football. I love it.
I was a connoisseur of the Great British Bake Off for, a few years ago. I went and I binged a bunch of seasons of it because it's a great also background show to have on.
Yes.
It's very like calming if you just want some like white noise, and then like it feels like by the third or fourth episode you're watching, you're just like, nah, you gotta let that proof more. You can't
exactly.
You gotta get that proof.
That's gonna have a soggy bottom.
Right, and
that looks a little stodgy.
The phrases of like biscuits and cookies and bread, like they're all different, right? So because it's British, right? So it's all how like they describe it. A crisp, a cracker, all of those things, like they all come across. But yes, they are very good at editing it. The hosts are very funny, and what I appreciate about it is you mentioned like it's not it's not like Survivor or like Big Brother, which are a couple shows I do enjoy watching. Amazing Race, great show. I like to watch all those like competition shows that they have. What this is like you usually see. It's like odd if somebody does not help the other person out. Like
This is a great point,
always help
Tucker.
each other out, and that is like, it would be weird if they were like, oh, can I have one of those eggs? And they were like, no. And but like in a cooking competition, you watch Chopped. You're watching Chopped on Food Network. My blood.
They're unplugging each other's equipment.
Yeah.
We have a show here called Cutthroat Kitchen. You know what they do in a tent in Bake Off? They're in a tent. They're in a tent, and if somebody finishes 2 minutes early, they'll go to the person having the worst day and ask how they can help each other.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is. I do love that.
Healing.
100% love that show. I have loved that show. I didn't know that there was a new season out, so I will have to check that out. But yeah, it is one of those things where you feel like you know a whole lot more about baking, because baking is so different than like cooking, because it's more of a science, and like cooking is more of an art, right? And because there's real science involved in, like, especially when there's like chocolate, it's chocolate week, and if it's too hot in the tent, they might be
if it's too hot in the tent, forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
They might be screwed, but nothing beats when Paul Hollywood is eating something and you can't tell what Paul Hollywood's thinking. Then all of a sudden, the hand goes out, and you're like, whoa. Paul Hollywood wants to shake their hand because they made the best bread he had.
If you've never been moved to tears watching two people you don't know shake hands, watch Bake Off. Watch Bake Off. It was in honor of someone's, dearly departed grandmother, and then Prue says something about it being a triumph, and Paul shakes their hand, and everybody's crying. It's like, this is what we need right now.
Between Paul Hollywood and Prue, like, it is a perfect like yin and yang in terms of like how they judge things. I know that like if you watch, by the way, I watched America's Got Talent accidentally, and what has that show turned into? That show was just like,
I haven't accidentally watched it.
It felt like a fever dream. Like, why is Howie Mandel, what is Howie Mandel doing? And like Terry Crews is now hosting.
Oh.
Sophia, how do you say it? Vergara, yeah, she's one of like the panel judge, and it's just like now there's a golden buzzer that can send them all the way to the finals. Like, that doesn't really make any. We're just trying too much in America, I think. You got to get down to the basics, and that's what it is about the Great British Bake Off or Bake Off. You have to get down to the basics, and this is why we love it. It's the fundamentals. It is getting to the basics. It's kind of what Chiefs needs to do, and it's so pure and perfect. I love it. I'm glad that you brought this up.
I'm glad to share it with the people. I'm going to see if anybody's leaving comments about Bake Off. While you tell me, you've got a report for us here today. It's time for Tucker's Emmy report. I forgot this happened. I saw Tramel Tillman won Best Supporting Actor, which made me very happy because he so utterly deserved that. But what do I need to know? Ooh, VF is epic in the chat. Did either of you beat Silk Song yet? I am probably not going to play Silk Song. I didn't play Hollow Knight. It looks hard. I played Celeste for a while one time, and it just looked hard. So I really respect it. I really hope everybody is enjoying it. It seems pretty tough for me.
Yeah, I'm having to quickly Google that to figure out what it is. Yeah,
new video game. It was in production for a very long time. It kept getting moved. They didn't have the launch date for a very long time and all that. It's out now. People are very excited. I'm excited to hear everybody be excited about it. But it doesn't. Also, VF is. Either of you beat Silk Song yet? That can't be a weekend.
Yeah, that's like
game,
just released.
100%, right?
Saw.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, have you beaten it? Anyway,
that's great. Great question.
Tucker, take us to the Emmys. What did you take away from it? What do I need to know? What do we all need to know about the Emmys last night?
Yeah, so look, there were 3 big shows from the Emmys, and what I like to do for the Emmys, obviously, I watched Severance. Josh and I both big Severance heads. Entrenched in the world of Severance. They, I believe, won 8 Emmys last night. Rightfully deserved, like 100% great. But there were 3 shows that really stuck out, I think, in terms of like how like the award winning. The Studio, that was with Seth Rogen. They won a lot of awards. Haven't seen that one. And what the Emmys, I think, is really good for me specifically to be like, oh, I haven't heard that show. It's getting a lot of awards. Okay, I should probably watch that show, is kind of some things that So I've heard of The Studio. I've obviously heard of The Pit. The Pit has been one of those that has been very now critically acclaimed, and just acclaimed from just a lot of people I talk to, especially in the medical field. Like, they're like, oh, no, this is like accurate. It's good. It's not like your, not to bash on these shows, but like your Chicago Med, right? It's not like as cheeseball as or like Grey's Anatomy. Not to dunk on that show. I think that's a good show too, but like It's not. It's
Jordan
more,
Foote is going to appear in your home.
I know he's going to beat me up because I've said something bad about Grey's Anatomy, kind of. Not even a little bit. And then Adolescence is the other one in a limited series as well that took home a lot of awards. Jeff Hiller won an award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series for Somebody Somewhere. A lot of that is based in Manhattan, Kansas, and sometimes is filmed in Manhattan, Kansas as well. So,
No kidding?
yeah, so he won that award there, so I think that's pretty cool. I got to see the studio though, so that's the one I got to see. The Pit is one of the big ones that obviously, as I said, but a lot of love for Severance. They got the biggest drama prize, and it's going to be interesting to see the next season of Severance how it's received, because The Bear was not as well received in their second season as they were their first season. They might have. I didn't see this. I haven't seen actually either season of The Bear. I know that the first one was very critically acclaimed, but won a lot.
I think they might be 3 out now, actually, but I have also not seen.
Oh,
it.
this could be third. Yeah.
We've seen so. I watch football and Bake Off and Severance. This is where I'm at, right? That's and a lot of other stuff that I'll eventually get to in everything else segments throughout the life of this show. But I have not seen any of the shows you just talked about. I don't think I don't have a real thirst for a medical drama. It just doesn't really appeal to me thematically. Also, this is doing nothing for allegations that the only person watching, commenting on this show is my mom. But she said, Chloe, my little sister, Chloe says you need to play Silk Song. Has Chloe played Silk Song? Has Chloe played Hollow Knight? Am I a bad brother? Am I learning this right now on a podcast? I don't know. I need to keep in better touch with my family, because maybe my little sister is an absolute video game master right now, and I had absolutely no idea. I don't know.
Who is Mike says Pitt's very worth it. So there is that from the chat. Last thing I have is that Netflix is kind of they're doing pretty good on these limited series, right? Black Mirror, they just had a new season come out. They won some awards for it. Ryan Murphy's Monsters, and that was of the Melendez brothers of a limited series. And Adolescence as well, as I mentioned, they also got some awards as well. So Netflix is still doing good stuff in limited series like Squid Games. You know, they had the Baby Reindeer. I don't know if you ever watched Baby Reindeer. That one got a little uncomfortable for me. I didn't end up finishing that one. And The Crown as well. So Queen's Gambit, like they've done some really good limited series recently. Like they're kind of cooking when it comes down to it. But HBO also's got some good stuff. So yeah, overall, I mean, look, take what you want from award shows, right? I mean, it is what it is with all these awards. I think that there's a little bit of there's a thin veil there with the awards in terms of like everything. But look, I do enjoy this kind of pointing me in directions of shows I need to watch.
I currently have been cleared of allegations that I'm a bad brother. My sister has not been playing Silksong or Hollow Knight. But apparently maybe somebody in Chloe's life is. So once again, I need to go mend some relationships with my family, I suppose. I need to figure out who in Chloe's life is giving her video game recommendations that isn't me. And hopefully I can solve that over the next few days. I'd say we'll be back on Friday, but that's not how either this works for either of us. You probably know at this point. Only Weird Games, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, so we'll be there. And we'll get Seth and Nate's thoughts on what happened last night and where the Chiefs go from here. Tucker already mentioned that football show is already out with him and Matt Verderam. That's out now from post-game in the NFL weekend that was. Yep. Plus The Lab tonight and Wednesday, and then KCSN Live with Tucker, noon to 1. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'll be back at noon on Friday. And before we know it, we're going to be talking about a Chiefs-Giants game that I will be more stressed about pregame than the rest, I think, because the wiggle room is gone. The margin for error has disappeared, and that game is going to matter in a very, very real way. So appreciate you, Tucker, for bringing us along this ride. Appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat, including and not including those related to me directly. And a shout out to Tom, who I missed this almost an hour ago now because the show's gone long. Shout out to Tom with the super chat. It says, we must remember, before a team can be so back, it must first be so over. Hold strong. Well said, Tom. We'll talk to you again on Friday. Till then, bye, Mom.